Hi everybody, my name is Terry, and in this video we're going to put a new exhaust on this Honda CB750KZ. Now you can see the one we've got on here is pretty ratty, and just listen to how it sounds. So as well as looking rubbish and not being original, it sounds like a wheezy lawnmower. Now the original CB750s had this beautiful 4x4 exhaust, but they're pretty much unobtainable at an affordable price now. So what we're going to go for is this Delkevic system, product code COM270V. Okay, so let's get to it. We'll start with some heat to get the nuts off the old exhaust collets. And then some penetrating oil. And then into the nuts themselves. Now you'll probably experience when you do this that some of them will actually come out on the studs, i.e. when you withdraw them, the whole stud will come out, not just the nut itself. Don't worry about that, we can clean that up and address that later. And some of the nuts are easier to get out than others, but they're all possible to do. You'll also notice this bike has been stripped down a fair bit. I've got the fuel tank, the seat off, the battery and the carbs off and all the rest of it. You don't need to do any of that to change the exhaust. Changing the exhaust is just a Saturday morning job, really, a couple of hours at most. And the reason it's looking like this is it's part of a wider restoration for which I'm posting lots of videos. So the previous owner fitted a 4-into-1 exhaust, and here I am just removing one of the springs that goes from a header pipe into a collector box. I'm just using a bit of zip tie and a screwdriver. Pull that off, and now we're free to pull the header pipe out and remove it from the collector box. Whatever sort of system you've got, it will go in some variation of this, and they'll just come out easy as. So one by one, I pull the headers off. Once the header pipes are removed, if you look into the exhaust port, obviously you will see a lot of carbon, but more importantly, underneath all of the black stuff, there should be a copper gasket, and it's important that you remove this, and we're going to have to replace them with the new ones that come with the kit. A gentle press with a very thin bladed flat screwdriver normally does the trick. You'll notice as I do this that some of the studs came out as I unscrewed the nuts, and some of them remained in. Next job is to clean them up. So I put all of the nuts and the studs that came with them in some cases into an ultrasonic cleaner, gave them half an hour, got on and did something else. Now here I am pulling them out, and they're nicely cleaned up. But as soon as they come out, because I've got the rust off, the next thing I'm going to do is just spray a little bit of WD-40 on it, and that'll stop them getting a flash rust over again. A couple of the nuts were particularly stubborn, so I gave them the heat treatment, some penetrating oil, and then wound them off, and they were fine. And it doesn't harm to go over the threads with the wire brush as well to make sure that everything's going to go on nice and easy. And then just simply screw them back into the engine block. And if they don't go in with light finger pressure, then it's time to clean them a little bit more. Now it's time to get rid of the carbon that's built up around the header ports. And I've been doing that with a Dremel with a little sort of metal abrasive end on it. So in there, get rid of all the carbon, get it nice and smooth, so that when we put the new gaskets and then a header pipe on, it forms a good seal. So here's the new exhaust system from Delkevic. It arrived within a few days. They were very good at answering questions when I was checking whether it was exactly the right exhaust for this bike, and the whole system came in at under 400 quid including delivery. Those are the good things. The things that could be improved, I think they don't really come with comprehensive instructions, so there's a fair bit of working it out for yourself. So hopefully this video will help with that. And here's me comparing the new and the old, and just trying to imagine how it will all go together. The new kit comes with copper gaskets, and these will deform as we screw in the header pipes to form a nice seal. You also get a little tube of sealant, and I put a couple of spots on, and that's not to seal it at all, that's just to try and hold it there for long enough for me to bring the header pipe up and then start to screw it on. As you can see, it's not desperately successful because the engine block's at a bit of an angle there and gravity's doing its job, but it's close enough for me to get the header pipe up and then start to screw it in. And as we start to put the pressure down, that will deform and form a nice seal. But just for now, we don't want to do that. We'll put the little bracket, which you can see me fiddling with my left hand with there, over the studs. Then we'll put the nuts on, and we're just going to do it up only tight enough so the thing doesn't drop off the cylinder head. Because what we want to do is now manipulate the pipes to get everything into the collector box and get them in the right order. Now helpfully the Delkevic kit comes with a little sticker on each of the header pipes telling you which cylinder it goes to. So they're labelled 1, 2, 3, 4 and they're numbered from left to right as the rider looks at it sitting on the bike. So here I'm doing the second one from the left, which is number 2 pipe. It's just kind of easier to do the inside ones than the outside ones. You're not reaching over a pipe to do another one. Now I'm doing the number 1 pipe, and this doesn't go across the number 2 pipe, it just sits to one side of it. What happens is the number 1 and number 2 pipes sit one above the other, a bit like an over and under shotgun, and into the left hand side of the link pipe as the rider looks at it. And number 3 and 4 sit over and under each other, and they go into the right hand side as the rider would look at it. That'll become clearer later when I show you everything going into the link box. But for now, we're just going to do everything up nice and loosely. And here's number 3 going in. And then after that, I will do number 4. Now, one thing I will mention here is that the old exhaust collets fitted pretty snug up into the exhaust ports. The new arrangements and this diamond-shaped bracket that I'm putting on here doesn't go snug all the way up. So what you end up with is quite a length of the bolt between the bottom of the bracket and the cylinder head, and that's normal. But it's really important that you snug those nuts down evenly so that you don't get undue pressure on one side. Now we're going to put the headers into the collector box, and helpfully the collector box has got corresponding stickers, so it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4 next to each of the 4 holes there. But even if it didn't, if you were just to take hold of the header pipes and draw them together, they would naturally make a square shape. And then it wouldn't really matter which way you put the link pipe on, so long as the hooks for the springs, which are going on next, are at the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position. Because if they're at the 12 o'clock position or the 6 o'clock position, obviously you wouldn't be able to get your hand up there between the engine and pull the springs on. So even if there weren't stickers on there, and there won't be after you first fit it, and if you take it off in future, you can still work out which way it goes. Just bring the header pipes together, put the pipe on square, make sure the spring hooks are left and right at the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock position. So you can see what I'm doing now is just wiggling each of the pipes gently in. They'll each go in a little bit at a time, and we'll just work them in. And because we've allowed quite a bit of space at the top where the headers go into the cylinder head, there's plenty of sort of give and take so that we can do this without damaging anything. Now I haven't really attached the header pipes to the collector box yet, they're just sort of held in by stiction. So now we move to the back of the bike and we use this bracket which is supplied by Delkevic with the new kit. And this is what the silencer is going to attach to, so the very back of the exhaust system. This bracket is attached onto a nut and bolt which is already on your footrest hanger. Now I'm going to use some of the sealant which Delkevic supply, and I'm going into the back of the collector box far enough in, about 1 finger's length, to where it starts to narrow, because the next thing is we're going to push the link pipe in, and that's where it's going to stop, and that's where the sealant needs to be. It's important that you put it onto the inside pipe, not the link pipe itself as you're pushing in, otherwise it just smear everywhere. With that done, we prepare to do the same thing to put the silencer onto the link pipe. And again, we put the sealant on the bit of the pipe which is inside, because the link pipe is going to go inside this, right up against where it narrows, which is where we expect it to seat. And then we'll put the silencer on and wiggle it on, and hopefully everything will be more or less lined up when we do that. Now once we've got everything more or less wangled into the place where we want it, and it seems to be about right, we'll then come in from the back of the silencer onto the bracket that we fitted a few moments ago, and we'll fix this nut and bolt to hold it on. Everything's still nice and loose at the moment before we start to tighten everything up to make sure that we get it looking and fitting exactly the way we desire it. Next we'll position the 2 clamps that connect in turn on the left the silencer to the link pipe, and on the right the collector box to the link pipe, so that everything can squeeze together. These are just Allen head bolts, and we'll snug them up nice and tight. Now we've got 4 springs to attach. These 2 on this side of the bike are dead easy because you've got lots of room to do it, and Delkevic supply this handy tool, so I don't have to do my screwdriver and zip tie trick anymore. On the other side of the bike you need to be a bit of a contortionist, and I found it easier after a bit of experimenting to come in from the back to the right of the rear wheel. That just about gives you enough visibility and room to put it on. Next we're going to tighten all of the nuts that hold those header clamps or brackets onto the cylinder head. And these have to be done evenly because there's quite a bit of bolt sticking out either side, and it would be easy to put too much pressure on one side of the exhaust pipe, not enough on the other. So gradually work your way along till it feels snug. Then we'll torque them up to 20 Newton meters each one.
You might be sticking him off, but okay. No, there's no right answer. Because here I played it a second time, and I said, that sounds like it's in a pub. If it was only 10 minutes away, that limits the option. It's a hard pass. You want me to check the... It's an almost Parisian feel. And if you squint and use your imagination, the scaffold...
Then we'll torque up the clamps. Now, I used the recommended torque setting here, but as I approached it, it really did feel like I was putting too much on it. So I just did it evenly and stopped when I felt it was snug. And then to the exhaust hanger bracket at the end, which has no recommended torque figure, but it's a big bolt, so a lot of pressure. There's no alternative here really than to using a bit of feel. When you feel like you've got enough, you probably have. If you feel like you're using a torque wrench and it should have clicked and it hasn't, then stop. Now with the exhaust on, I'm going to go over everything with a bit of silicone cleaner here, or you could use carb cleaner or anything really that's going to get rid of grease off those pipes. And you'll notice that I've been using gloves throughout and that I didn't rest an exhaust onto a dirty workbench. I used a clean bit of cardboard. And the reason for this is that the first time you start the bike up and it really heats it, if there is any grease or dirt on those pipes, it will burn it on and you will never get it off. Now you can't do that every time you start the bike obviously, but the first time you start it you should get it as best you can. And there we are, and she's starting to look really quite shiny and nice. Just a quick start up for now to run her up to temperature because I've got lots of other work to do on the bike, but I think you'll agree she sounds lovely. She sounds so good in fact that within 30 seconds my neighbours came round to have a listen. They're both mad keen bikers and they love the sound of the bike. So there we are, a really good product I think from Delkevic. They're not paying me, nor is anybody else by the way, but I think it went on really easy, good results, and I'm very happy with that. And I hope this video, if you're considering a Delkevic exhaust, will help you to fit it. If not, then leave a comment and I'll try and improve the video. Ride safe and thanks for watching.